Hey everybody, Jeff Esposito here from jeffesposito.com. On the morning of September 11th, 2001, like many people, I've got something etched in my mind that I remember and I'll never forget. I showed up for work as normal most days in the Seton Hall mailroom with the crew over there, a bunch of funny old guys that I was a college kid working with them to get the mail at the university to make some extra coin. We were sitting there bullshitting, breaking each other's chops. All of a sudden, in the middle of the radio, we hear a plane had hit one of the towers of the World Trade Center. Everyone's like, what's going on here? What's going on here? So we're listening to the radio. Short time later, we hear a second plane had hit the radio. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the New York, New Jersey area, Seton Hall University is probably 10 miles at most from where the World Trade Center used to be. So we all sat there and were kind of in shock and awe. We went outside and actually from the university were able to see the damage and destruction that was happening over in New York City. As the time passed, we were sitting in the mailroom doing our jobs and really listening to the radio that was going out there and hearing all the information that was coming out. One of the problems with a lot of this information is everybody was trying to be first and fast and going through things. So there was all kinds of things coming out that conspiracy theorists hold to now but never proved out as news. So now fast forward to 2012. A lot has changed in my life and in the world. One thing that I'm actually happy about that was not around in 2001 was this area of social networking that we have now. Everybody wants to be the first to get something out there. They want to be the first to get that picture, be like the picture of Sully Sullenberger on the Hudson with the plane landing there. But while that's good in some cases, and it does help preserve an event, I do think that a lot more incorrect information would have come out on those days. People would have had so many theories of what's happened, but even more so, a lot of the hate that people forget about now in the revisionist history but there's a lot of hate coming out of people around the time, directly after this. People putting stuff online that they'll probably regret but could never forget, could never get away from now because it's on a social network and it's indexed by the Library of Congress or by the ever-present Google monster seeing things. Another thing on there too is that with sharing all these things, we might have sensationalized things and people sharing pictures that could have touched folks that shouldn't be shared until the families have their proper time to get there. Now, if you remember back to this time and you were in the area that I was at, we couldn't get in touch with anybody. Our cell phone service was down. My old-fashioned Nokia brick phone, I didn't get to use the phone. My phone didn't work for a few days because of the traffic in there. While at school, I couldn't communicate with my parents 20 miles north of the school because we had to use one phone that was set up for the school as a direct line of communication to people so that we could coordinate how to get home from campus. Thinking about that now, we all complain when a 4G doesn't work or Twitter's down on the fail whale. We're overlooking at ourselves, but I do think also at that time, everybody was trying to figure out what the hell was happening with their parents. I can't count the number of people that we called and were lucky that they weren't at work that day. Or the friends that we sat with waiting to hear back from their parents who worked on the top floors of the towers. Luckily for us, most of the people that were within friends and family did get out or did not go into work that day by some chance or happening. But imagine if you're one of those folks out there that had pictures shared, but you weren't ready for it. You didn't know that a relative had passed away. And with a Facebook and the way that we are now, everything gets put out on the web real time. So I know I'm ranting a little bit on this, but I really, it's a day of reflection for me, and I think, a lot of things have changed for the better, but I still don't think, as a people, we think enough about what we're sharing on a social network and how it could impact things beyond ourselves. So I think, while a lot has changed since September 11th, 2001, a lot hasn't as a people. I think that we're getting smarter with technology, but I think this day reminds me to think about things and what you're sharing, what you're saying online, and really reflecting on such a day that I don't think could ever be forgotten or hopefully never replicated here. But it's just something to think about. I'm grateful that social media wasn't around back then. How about yourself? Think about that and feel free to drop a comment below.